It's time for the 32081 Scoreboard Show. Let's recap the latest weekly scores and highlights from around the county.
And welcome to week 2 of the 32081 Scoreboard Show. I'm the Todd, and we have a very special guest starting off our show today, and that is Gabby from the Pantherettes. Hi, Gabby. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Gabby, a lot of people don't know about all the hard work and competitions, and especially that has a cost with it. And I know you're coming on because businesses can sponsor the Pantherettes for only $100, and it goes a long way. Could you share with the audience and potential sponsors what that money goes to help the Pantherettes with throughout the season?
Yeah, of course. So all the sponsorship money actually goes to competition fees. So for our entries and usually like hotels and transportation to those different competitions. And then we also use the sponsorship money for choreography, equipment, and our uniforms and costumes.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people knew that because I didn't know that. So, but, and I want to tell you, you guys are awesome to watch. My wife and I were talking about when we were at the game the other night. You guys are really, really good. And I want to ask you as a senior, what's the atmosphere from your perspective on the field, what it's like to be at Nease on a Friday night, and do you think that everyone should come out and experience it and see for themselves and watch the Pantherettes in action?
Yes, so on the sidelines, I just look out into usually the student section or even the parent section, and the energy is always just at 110%. It's just full of life. There's just no negative energy coming from anyone. Everyone is just so hyped up, ready for the game. And I believe that everyone should come out to just experience that, even if it's just one time. FNL is just amazing. It's just great. Like, it's just so hyped up. And everyone should come out to watch the game, but also support the Pantherettes because we perform pregame and halftime. And during the game, we'll be on the sidelines dancing to whatever the band plays, or sometimes the speakers will play just regular music. And we're just always moving.
Yeah, I heard you kind of pause there for a second, and I think that says it all. It's really hard to find a word to describe how electric the atmosphere is. So with that said, I think it's a great opportunity for a business for a very low amount, for $100 to sponsor the Pantherettes. Like I said, you guys are fantastic, and the money goes to a very good cause. So if a business is interested after hearing this and wants to support you and the Pantherettes for only $100, how should they get in touch with you?
So any business, or actually it doesn't even have to be a business at all. It could be anyone willing to support the dance team and donate that $100. We can put your name on the back of the t-shirt along with other businesses that do donate. You can shoot out a text to actually my mom's phone number. It's 954-646-5530. And you can just go ahead and shoot out a text saying, I'd like to donate, and she'll send you the paperwork in order to get your donation through.
Oh, so even if it's not a business, if a family wants to sponsor you, they could sponsor $100 and maybe have their family name on the back of your shirt.
Yep, 100%.
Oh, that's cool. Well, Gabby, thanks for coming on, and we look forward to seeing you perform along with the other Pantherettes on the sideline, and we hope that you get a lot of support here for only $100 from the community. But before you go, can you give my co-host a great Pantherette introduction for me?
Yes, sir. And now, joining the 32081 scoreboard, the Pantherettes' favorite local sports reporter, Anthony Richards.
Well, thank you, Gabby. And what do you think about that special intro there for you, Anthony?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, always nice to. I'm always happy to support the athletes, the programs, anyone around the program. Of our local programs. It's always neat to see the cool things people are doing.
And I gotta say, I think I agree with Gabby with the fact that even win or loss, the Den is a place to be on a Friday night. There's no doubt. It's just electric.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, despite the score, like they were there till the end. Like the students were standing, they were shouting, and it was the atmosphere. It remains regardless of the score.
So let's talk about that game second. Let's start off with Ponte Vedra and Florida State University High School. Now, we talked last week about Ponte Vedra and the difficulty for them in any school having to take a 2.5-hour drive down I-10 to play any high school. And they go into this game losing last year to Florida State University High School here in Ponte Vedra. Now, I don't know if you agree or disagree here, but to me it turned into kind of like a redemption game. We want to get the win, but it also turned into a statement game by them pulling out a 1-point victory in the final minute of the game. Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean that you always want to win when you go out west. The long trip on I-10. It makes the trip back on the bus a lot smoother, a lot easier. Everyone's smiling and cracking up, and I'm sure that was a pretty fun bus ride back. But yeah, no, definitely a huge measuring stick game for sure. I think the Sharks knew that going in, and now you come back and you're not 0-2, but you're 1-1, and you feel like, hey, we led Bartram 10-7 at half last week. We could easily be 2-0, sitting here going into a bye week at 2-0. Feeling really good about ourselves.
Now, something else interesting also was that I'm just going to call them FSU from right now. FSU HS something, because that's just too long to say. But last year, they had the advantage of 369 yards to 273 complete yards over Ponte Vedra. However, this year, Ponte Vedra turned the tables on them and had a combined 378 total offensive yards, 159 rushing to 219 yards passing. Is this Ponte Vedra Sharks team starting to find a balance between the run and the pass?
I think they are. I mean, because I know Brian Case, had a touchdown run. He had a lot of nice runs. He was a big part of their success and their drives at times. I know Cole Madsen had 9 catches for 135. So, I mean, if he gets going along with Ryan Smith, that's a pretty dynamic tandem out wide. And obviously in this game, they also did a much better job of protecting Ben Burke. So he actually had some time to look down the field and find those targets, find those weapons. So I think all around, the offense, I think this is what the Sharks were talking about during the offseason, that this is what they wanted the offense to look like. In year 3 with Steve Price, this is the year, where you take that next big, not just a little step, but a big leap forward in terms of offensive, stats and production. And, obviously week 1 was a little disappointing. It was a little slower out of the gate than they wanted, but I think it all clicked, and this is what happens when you see it start to click. And this is a good sign moving forward for these guys.
Since you mentioned Cole Madsen, I do want to say this. We talked about the chemistry between Nate Harry and Maddox Spencer over at Nease, and it seems like Cole Madsen and Ben Burke are starting to find that chemistry also, because those two had a heck of a game in the air against FSU HS.
Yeah, for sure. And it's pretty special, isn't it, when you get those guys that are, they're kind of best buds off the field. They also are receiver quarterback, which is a very, those guys have to be on, in sync. Like if they're not, the offense and the team, it shows it. It starts to suffer, because that chemistry has to be there. And it's fun when we have both, two schools that are just really seeming to know where each other is going to be at. They know their routes, they know the route tree, and it's clicking, it's running smooth, and I'm looking forward to just seeing that growth. I mean, we're only 2 weeks in, and they've already established that connection. So I can't wait to see how many more 100+ yard games are in the future.
Yeah, really. Now, flipping to the other side of the ball, Anthony, the defense at the Ponte Vedra Sharks, they've got some family ties. You've got the Babin boys who combined for 14 tackles on Friday night, and then you got the Greco boys accounting for 5. But here's what also was interesting. You had 19 total players registering tackles and 9 pass defenses. 3 of them were by senior Joseph Mahoney, and also fumble recovery. And looking at those numbers, especially with the number of players that got involved in tackles, this defense seems to be ball hawks. I mean, they just seem to be just flying towards the ball and everyone making plays. And I'm sure that was a big part of Friday night's victory. Oh, yeah.
So they've got playmakers all levels of the defense, and they all play together. So the D-line, feeds to the linebackers, and then they feed to the secondary. And, if the linebackers miss something, they know the secondary has them covered. It's just transitional, the different levels and all. And obviously, having family members on the team helps, you've got this just natural built-in cohesion, and understanding. But and Joe Mahoney is really a guy that I've been looking at the last couple of years, and you can see the growth. And this year it just seems like he's got, a mega senior year lined up. It seems like every week he's covering, like this week it was a 4-star Clemson commit that he's covering, and he just pretty much sticks with him for most of the game. He gets his catches, but for the most part, Joe's there just hanging tight with him and making life very, very frustrating.
Yeah, he's doing a heck of a job back there. And this was a great win by Ponte Vedra. Now, they host Middleburg at the Tank, and some people might say this could be a trap game after coming off such a big victory against FSU HS. Last week, Middleburg lost to Hawthorne 26-7. Now, while some people might say this might be a trap game coming off a big game, I personally like Ponte Vedra in this one. I think they are going to keep the team focused. I think the coaches are going to have them ready to go, and I will not be surprised. I'm going to say that Ponte Vedra is going to cross the 30-point mark on offense. So how do you feel about this game?
Oh yeah, definitely. I expect the offense to just continue to build. I think Middleburg is known for having kind of a gritty team, defensive wise and all. But I think that if the Sharks keep clicking like they're doing, I don't see anything but an upward trajectory. And so Middleburg just happens to be the next opponent on the schedule. I don't see him I see him having a hard time slowing the Sharks team down if they can continue this momentum that they're on.
So let's switch on over to the Nease Creekside game. And I know you were at that one with Ponte Vedra being in Tallahassee. You didn't have to do double duty like last week. Now, Creekside came in winning 5 in a row, and they ended up walking away with a 51-23 win. But let's look at some of the highlights. And I think one of the biggest highlights, we've mentioned them earlier in the show, we talked about him last week, was Maddox Spencer. And I don't think we can say enough about this kid. Because you said last week, and like I said earlier, that they have some chemistry between him and Nate Harry. But here's the thing. I think in looking at this, if Harry can just get Spencer the ball, fun things will happen. I mean, he ended up, according to me, 14 of 18, 282 yards. And here's what was really shocking about this. 154 of his 282 yards came after the catch. I mean, this kid is a playmaker.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, he's something special for sure. And to think, okay, he's only a junior. So he's still got a lot of development to go. And it just seems like he just has this natural gift of finding the holes in the defense and then, like you said, catching the ball and then doing something with it, not just catching it and kind of getting your 6 or 8 yards. He catches it and he gets upfield quick and then he makes guys miss. I wouldn't want to be in the secondary tackling him. I remember I was during the game, there was a secondary member coming from Creekside. He had him lined up along the sideline. All of a sudden, Maddox just kind of steps back, and the guy just got complete air. He completely missed him, and then Maddox ends up getting upfield for an additional 10, 15 yards. It's just those slick moves like that you just can't teach. It's kind of very instinctive. It's just a natural gift he has.
Now, speaking about the offense, the difference between when they played Jackson and then when you look at them play against Creekside, do you think they're still trying to find their identity, or do you think it's just the nature of the beast with the game? Because they did try to start off the game rushing, and it just wasn't that effective. I'll talk about it in a second. But when you look at the change in the heavy run week with Jackson, the offense was held just to 45 yards on the ground, yet they were able to rack up 331 yards in the air with 199 coming after the catch. So do you think it was just the nature of the fact that they started out, they tried 2 series to run the ball, it wasn't effective against that Creekside line, so they kind of moved to getting the ball to Braden Felder, Maddox Spencer, and getting those yards after the catch and moving the ball that way? Or do you think they're still trying to find that balance?
I think it's probably a little bit of a combination. I think that they're obviously still trying to find their balance a couple weeks in, and they're trying to I think they have an idea of the offense that they should be, with the playmakers and the type of players that they have, but they're still trying to kind of fit all that in, and the Cam Smith injury kind of didn't help that. Now
I was going to talk about that because Cam's got to affect that, right?
Yeah, definitely. But overall, I think, the Creekside game, I think they did show lots of positive signs, Maddox getting him the ball. The passing game did look, a little more effective than it did against Jackson. So I think there is certain positivity to take from the Creekside game. And I think the Jackson game and the Creekside game, somewhere in between there is kind of the offense that they would like to develop on a consistent basis. And but they're still trying to find that balance. Yeah, for sure.
And speaking of taking away some good things, you look at a score with 51 points being put up. I actually saw some good things on defense. And some people might say, Todd, you're a little crazy there. But and I noticed you kind of you wrote about this in your article this week on the Ponte Vedra Recorder. And the defense had 3 interceptions on the evening. Kay Papineau and Jacob Curry, they almost had almost identical spot on interceptions about the 2 and 3 yard lines. And then Kirill Carter just had he just took the ball away from the receiver. It was an unbelievable interception. And then Elijah Luckett stepped up with the team to lead the team with 9 tackles. And on top of that, I almost forgot that the defense held Sean Ashenfelder only to 139 yards in the air. So even with this loss, are you seeing the same type of growth that I'm seeing in the defense and also that we talked about a week ago?
I am. I definitely am. I know obviously you look at 51 points and you're like, oh, they couldn't have played a good game. But I think if you were there and you were seeing it, how you got to those 51 points, I think, it was a lot of big plays. So like you eliminate those big plays, and all of a sudden you make Creekside work a little bit down the field. And I don't think they get to 51. So, I mean, I don't know if you win, but you held them to at least in the 30s or so, and so I think, and like you said, the secondary is full of, like we were talking about with the Sharks, kind of just playmakers, ball hawks. I know, what Cade and Carrillo, I think they've had, a pick in each of the first 2 weeks now. So they just seem to have a knack for finding the ball in the air, which is good because now, with so many spread offenses and teams with these athletic quarterbacks wanting to take shots deep and throw the ball around, those secondary members and their confidence level is it's an important thing to have for a high school defense nowadays.
Now, last weekend it was Ponte Vedra having to take a 2.5-hour bus ride, and now it's Nease having to go to Davenport, Florida to play Ridge Community. Ridge Community lost last week to Lake Wales. So how do you see this game going for the Panthers bouncing back from Creekside?
It should be an interesting one. Ridge is one of those teams that you don't really know a whole lot about, just naturally, being up here and then being kind of down there. I mean, they're in District 8 4S. Last year they went 5-4, then 6-5 the year before. So they're kind of one of those teams as a program where they're not bad, but they're always kind of just on the cuff of the playoffs, and maybe they don't quite make it. Maybe they sneak in. So they're kind of they're just one of those teams. That they're always going to be in games. They're always going to be hanging around. But I think they won their first game. Like by 30 points, and then they lost last week by like 30 points. So it's they seem like they kind of had this Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing going. So it'll be interesting to see which, I guess, Ridge team shows up when they face the Panthers, and then hopefully it's the Jackal kind of thing.
That's what we hope for, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, listen, you had a great write-up in the Ponte Vedra Recorder, so I really tell people to go out there and take a look at that. And thanks again, Anthony, for joining us on the show each week. We really enjoyed it, and I guess you will be at Ponte Vedra with Nease being in Davenport this week.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, well, listeners, be sure to follow Anthony Richards from the Ponte Vedra Recorder on X by following @AntiRich. I like that. Anthony, Anti-Rich. How can anyone forget that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can follow you at Anti-Rich on X and also at PonteVedraRecorder.com. Also, please like and subscribe to the show on your streaming service of choice. Until next week, for Anthony Richards, I'm the Todd, and thank you for listening to the 32081 Scoreboard Show.
Thank you for listening to the 32081. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Please don't forget to subscribe to the show so you can join us for the next episode.
I never miss an episode. It's the best.
Until next time, take care.